Good morning, students.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, let us start the topic today, students. We are going to start the topic called counter. In today's session, we are going to discuss in detail about what are the different types of counters we are having. Okay, so this counter is actually a sequential circuit. Okay, which counts the number of clock pulses as applied to the given counter. Okay, so basically, a counter can be either a synchronous sequential circuit, or else we can have asynchronous sequential circuit in it. Okay, so we have two types of counter. Okay, so asynchronous counters and synchronous counters, basically, students. Okay, so these are the different types of counters we have basically. Before going to the into the definition of counter, let me tell you one more thing. First of all, we are going to place group of flip-flops together, connected together. Okay, group of flip-flops connected together forms a register. Basically, a register can store the information. Okay, and in some cases they can be shifted from one flip-flop to another flip-flop. For example, if I have four flip-flops connected serially or parallel to each other, then if I can store the information into it, I can pass the information into it, I can rotate the information, I can shift the information from one to another. Okay, but it cannot count how many times that information has been shifted or else something else like that. But whereas if you go for a counter, this counter circuit can definitely count how many times that information has been shifted based on number of clocks that has been applied to the circuit. Okay, so this counter is used for counting the number of clock pulses we have applied, students. Okay, it can count, either it can up count or down count. Okay, so means your shift is starting from 0. If you're going to up count it, okay, up count, then you can have 1 2 3 4 5 like that. You can down count also from 7 6 5 4 3 2 1 0 like that. Okay, so a counter basically can be a synchronous counter or asynchronous counter, students. We will discuss in detail about what are the how a synchronous counter is going to work and how a asynchronous counter is going to work in this session, students. Let us go to the topic. First of all, we are going to discuss about asynchronous counter, a asynchronous counter, and it can be a 2-bit asynchronous counter or a 3-bit asynchronous counter or a 4-bit asynchronous counter, students. And based on number of bits we are having, okay, based on number of bits we have, we should have that many number of flip-flops here, because a flip-flop can only store a single bit information in it. Okay, it can store only a single bit information in each flip-flop. If you are trying to store a 2-bit information, then you should definitely take 2 flip-flops. If you are trying to store 3 bits information for processing, then you should use 3 flip-flops. For designing flip-flops, you can select D flip-flop, T flip-flop, JK flip-flop in most of the cases, students, because in SR flip-flop, we know that if you are giving one information, we cannot predict what output you are going to get, since it will be in indeterminate state. So in most of the cases, or mostly, we'll be using D flip-flop, T flip-flop, and JK flip-flop in order to design any counter circuit. Okay, students, you can see here we are going to start with asynchronous counter. In that, we are going to discuss in main today about 2-bit asynchronous counter here. Okay, 2-bit asynchronous counter. Students, let me tell you first of all, before we go into the working procedure of a counter, we should know what are the basic differences you can find between synchronous counter and asynchronous counter, students. Okay, synchronous counter and asynchronous counter. These two things we should know basically. Asynchronous. In the starting class also, we have discussed the relation or the difference between synchronous and asynchronous counter, but circuit, sequential circuit. But let me tell you what is the basic difference you can find in this counter in terms of counter. First of all, let me take a flip-flop, students, here, and let me take one more flip-flop here. Let us think these two are some flip-flops like D or T or JK. Okay, and in similar fashion, I'm going to take two more flip-flops here. Okay, then I'm going to arrange them like this. Then how the synchronous counter and how the asynchronous counter is going to be triggered is the biggest difference you can find between synchronous counter and asynchronous counter. That is the biggest difference, students. Okay, let me tell you one more time. by the way how we are going to trigger synchronous sequential circuit or asynchronous sequential circuit. That will give you the biggest difference in between synchronous counters and asynchronous counter here in the counter, students. Let me tell you how the synchronous counter is going to be triggered with the help of clock pulses. Look at here. I am taking a clock here. However, each flip-flop will have its own inputs. If it is a JK flip-flop, you will have JK. If it is a D flip-flop, you will have D as input. If it is a T flip-flop, you will have T input. But the clock pulse is mandate for each and every flip-flop to trigger to change its state or output, student. Then in synchronous counter, same clock pulse, okay, same clock pulse will be used to trigger both the flip-flops at a time. Both the flip-flops at a time. For example, if you are giving a clock pulse, if you are applying a clock pulse for the first flip-flop, the same clock pulse will be reaching second flip-flop also at the same time. Means both the flip-flops will trigger at a time. That is why it is called synchronous counter. We are going to apply the clock pulse for the both flip-flops synchronizingly at the same time. Both the clock pulses, okay, sorry, both the flip-flops will be applied with the same clock at the same time. So both will trigger at the same point of time. But look at here how the triggering is happening in asynchronous counters. Let me tell you. So I am taking a clock pulse for the first flip-flop, but the output of the first flip-flop is taken as clock for the second flip-flop. This is the difference, students. This is the biggest difference. Here in synchronous counters, same clock pulse is given for the both flip-flops. Means if I apply clock, both the flip-flops will trigger at the same time. Whereas if you go for the asynchronous counters, first flip-flop will be triggered if I apply clock, then it will work and it will generate some output. That output is given as clock for the second flip-flop. Means when I apply the clock pulse, your first flip-flop is going to work and second flip-flop will be idle. It is not going to work at any cost. And if it is generating first flip-flop after applying the clock pulse, it will work and generate some output. That output has to reach the second flip-flop to trigger the flip-flop to generate some output. So after completion of working of first flip-flop, then only the second flip-flop will start to work here. That is a biggest difference between synchronous and asynchronous counters. Students, do you got the difference between triggering of synchronous counters and asynchronous counter? Students, do you got the difference between triggering in synchronous counters and asynchronous counters? Just tell me, students, is it okay or do you want me to explain one more time? Students, reply it to me. Do you got the point or you want me to explain one more time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, then let me go for the working procedure of a 2-bit asynchronous counter here. Students, let us go for the presentation. Okay, then I will show you how it is working with the help of a whiteboard again. Look at here. This is your 2-bit asynchronous counter. Since I have 2 bits of information to process, I'm using 2 JK flip-flops here. 2 JK flip-flops here, students. You can see a clock pulse is given to trigger. And see, students, here the main thing you should observe here is they are using negative edge triggering. Since they are giving a bubble here, okay, since they are giving a bubble here, means that they are using a negative edge triggering in here. Okay, they are using negative edge triggering in here. Okay, so here they are giving negative edge triggering in here. And you can see one more thing, both JAKA and JBKB inputs are connected to a high input. High means 1. Always JAKA, JBKB always is 1 actually. Okay, both the inputs JAKA, JBKB, both the flip-flop inputs are always kept at high input means 1. Students, you tell me one more thing. If J is equal to 1 and K equal to 1, how the JK flip-flop is going to work? To which state it will move if J equal to 1 and K equal to 1? If J is, yeah,
Toggle.
toggle state. Okay, toggle state. Toggle state means if your present state is 0, next state will be 1. If present state is 1, next state is 0. That is how the JK flip-flop is going to work based on the input what you have given here. Okay, and clock pulse is given, students. You can see I told you the difference between asynchronous synchronous counters. Since this is a asynchronous counter, only the first flip-flop is given with the clock pulse. Then it will work and generate some output QA, which is given as clock for the second flip-flop, which is given as input for the second flip-flop. With this input as a clock, the second flip-flop has to work here. Okay, that is the biggest difference in the design part, students. Let me explain you one more time how the 2-bit counter is designed here. Since there are 2 bits of information, I'm using 2 JK flip-flops here. You can use D flip-flop or you can use T flip-flop also, no problem at all. Here I'm taking JK flip-flop, and the first flip-flop is given with the name A and second flip-flop is given with the name B. And the 2 inputs, JA, KA, JB, KB are always connected to the input high. High means 1 in here. Means always the both flip-flops, JK flip-flop A, JK flip-flop B always will be in toggle state. Since this is a asynchronous counter, only the first flip-flop is given with clock pulse, and the output of the first flip-flop is given as clock to the clock for the second flip-flop. Based on this output only, okay, then the second flip-flop has to work. And one more important thing we should observe is the triggering should be done at negative edges of the clock pulse, negative edges of the clock pulse. Okay, so you got the structure, how it is looking like, and let us analyze how it is going to work, students. Okay, so I'm drawing the same structure here. Okay, so I'm thinking this is my JK flip-flop A and this is JK flip-flop B here. Okay, so this is my JK flip-flop B now. And how the connections are made, students? The 2 inputs JK, okay, and JB, are always connected, okay, are always connected high. Means I need these 2, okay, I need these 2 and these 2 be connected to a same output line, input line. High means always I will be giving an input 1 in here. Okay, so this is JA, this is KA, okay, and this is JB and this is KB, students. Okay, JB, KB, and here I have a clock pulse, and with the clock I'm doing negative edge triggerings. To show negative edge triggering, I'll be placing a bubble in here. So I'm giving clock pulse in here, clock pulse. And the output of the first flip-flop, QA, is given as clock for the second flip-flop. And also I'm using the same negative edge triggering in here. Okay, so this is your basic structure, how a asynchronous 2-bit counter is looking like. Let me explain you, students, with the help of waveforms, how this is going to work basically. So to explain this, I'm using a clock pulse here. Students, since I have 2 bits of information, okay, with the 2-bit counter, okay, I can definitely, okay, with a 2-bit counter, I can definitely place 4 states, okay, 4 states here. So I'm going to show you the 4 states what I want. Okay, I'm drawing the 4 states. 4 cycles or 4 clocks are needed. So I'm drawing 4 clocks what I need. So let me think, this is my clock 1, clock pulse 2, clock pulse 3rd, and clock pulse 4 years. Okay, 2 bits of information can form 4 states. So I'm taking 4 clock cycles to trigger. Then this is my clock pulse, students. And tell me, students, which triggering I have considered here? Which triggering I have considered here? Positive
Negative.
edge, yeah, negative edge triggering. Negative edge triggering means this is rising edge, this is falling edge. Means triggering should be done, okay, triggering should be done at these negative edges. Triggering should be done at these negative edges here. Falling edges are negative edges, students. When the flip-flop is reaching these negative edges from the clock pulse, then triggering should be done. Students, now always you know that, okay, always you know that I am going to discuss first of all about the flip-flop A, okay? And I need to find what is my output QA here. Okay, since this is flip-flop A, the output it is generating is QA. Students, you already know that not only your input for a sequential circuit, not only your inputs, always your present state also needed to start working, okay? So to generate some output. So initially, I'm thinking that my output QA is at 0. For example, I'm taking students, nothing else. You can take 1 also, nothing to worry. I'm assuming that initially my flip-flop is at A is at 0. I'm thinking that like that. My flip-flop A is at 0. So I'm placing 0 here. Students, tell me if my present state is 0, okay. If my present state is 0, okay. And if I'm giving my JA, KA to a input 1, JK flip-flop will be in toggle state, okay, toggle state. Then to which state it will join now? What will be the next state now after giving my present state 0? If it is in toggle state, if it is in toggle state, if my present state is 0, what will be my next state?
1, sir.
1. So look at here. I'm explaining the important case now. Initially, I thought my present state is 0. So I'm starting with the 0. It will be continued till I reach my, okay, till I reach my negative edge. Okay, till I reach my negative edge. This is my negative edge. And I have given input JA, KA as 1. Now triggering has to occur. That will happen only at negative edges since I am considering negative edge triggering. So since my present state is 0, I will move to toggle state and my present now next state will become 1. And that 1 will continue till I reach next triggering. Okay, till I reach next negative edge triggering. Students, now present state is 1. Okay, currently the state is at 1. Always your JA, KA is given to 1. So it is again in toggle state and present state is 1 in here. Now tell me what will be your next state?
0.
0. So I am moving to 0 again now. So 0. Then that 0 will continue till what point, students? Till what point that 0 will continue? Till you reach next negative edge. Till you reach the next negative edge of the clock pulse, the same 0 level will be continued. Now, again, what is your input always? What is your input always? What is your input, students, now? What is the input you got now? 1 always. 1 means the JK flip-flop is in which state? JK flip-flop is in which state, students, when I'm giving input 1 for J and K? Toggle state. So if my present in toggle state, if my present state is 0, now I will again move to the next state of 1. So that 1 will be continued till I reach the next negative edge. At my next negative edge, again it will come back to 0. This is the output I'm getting at QA. Okay, when I'm giving negative edge clock pulse and with an input high, it will be in toggle state. This is the waveform or output I will be getting at your QA. Students, do you all got how I have drawn this QA output? You understand how I have drawn this QA output? Students, do you understand how I have drawn? Yeah. Now, this QA is given to the clock, given as clock pulse to the second flip-flop. And always the inputs of second flip-flop also kept at 1. If the inputs are J, K are 1, again the flip-flop B also will be in toggle state. And I have to check what will be my output QB based on the clock pulse what I have given. Now you need to consider the output QA which is generated from flip-flop A as the clock pulse. Based on this clock pulse QA only, you need to design your output QB now. Okay, so let us go here. Now we are going to go for clock pulse B here, design clock pulse B now. Okay, students, look at here again to decide what will be my output. Now you already know what will be your inputs. Inputs is always JB KB is at 1, and I need to design QB here by considering this QA waveform as my clock pulse here. Again, I'm considering negative clock pulse again here, negative edge triggering here. So find what are the negative edges you can see here. This is one negative edge. This is another negative edge. Falling edges are negative edges. Rising edges are positive edges, students. So your triggering can be seen at these points. Okay. So this is, sorry, that is not the point. This is the point. Here you can see triggering at remaining places, your output remains constant always. Now come to the conclusion, students. We will see how we have to draw this QB. Initially, I'm assuming again my output QB or flip-flop QB is at present state 0. Okay. So that 0 will be continued till I reach my negative edge. This is my negative edge, students. Okay. So that 0 will be continued till I reach my negative edge. Till that point, my state will be at 0. Since the second flip-flop is also given with an input 1, your present state is 0 here. So I will jump to 1. And that 1 will be continued till I reach my next negative edge. This is my next negative edge. That 1 will be continued till I reach my next negative edge. So I'm going to shift again using toggle state here. Okay, so that will continue here. So this is how your QB is generated, students. QB is generated. Now look in this direction. Okay, look in this direction from QB to QA. So what is this state, students? What is this state? 0, 0. Then what is this? 0, 1. What is this? 1, 0. Then what is this? 1, 1 means you are having 0, 1, 2, and 3 here. So your 2-bit counter having totally 4 states from starting from 0 to 3 in here, from 0 to 3 here. This is how a asynchronous 2-bit counter is working. Okay. So like this, we have to work for a 3-bit counter or 4-bit counter, whatever it is. Okay. We can design simply a 2-bit asynchronous counter like this, or we can design a 3-bit, or we can design a 4-bit counter in asynchronous counter working procedure. Tell me, students, is there any doubt in this procedure of knowing the waveforms, drawing the waveforms QA and QB? If you ask me the doubt, I will explain that waveform again. Any doubts?
No, sir.
Yeah.
No, sir.
Are you all clear with the drawing of QA and QB? How I have drawn for a 2-bit counter?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So can we go for a 3-bit asynchronous counter now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Then let us go here, students. So I'm not going to draw that. I'm going to show you how that 3-bit asynchronous counter is going to look like. Look at here, students. Same thing I have drawn in there on whiteboard. So I have considered totally 4 bits, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Students, tell me, since I'm considering 2-bit information, I have totally 4 states. If I'm considering 3-bit asynchronous counter, totally how many clock pulses I have to consider? How many clock pulses I have to consider if I have 3 bits information?
4, sir.
See here, students. I have taken 2-bit asynchronous counter. So I have 4 bits, 4 clock pulses to consider for working procedure. If I have 3-bit asynchronous counter, how many clock pulses I should consider for working procedure to trigger the
8, sir.
8. Yeah,
8.
8. Yeah, 8 is a correct answer. Look at here, I will show you that circuit also. Look at here, the same circuit, students, no changes. So first is given with the clock pulse. The output of the first is given as clock for the second. The output of the second is given as clock for the third one. In all the flip-flops, JAKA, JBKB, and JCKC are given to a single input high. Means always 3 flip-flops, A, B, C are kept at toggle state only. Okay. Since I have 3-bit information, totally I will have 8 states. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 states, 0 to 7, 8 states. So I am taking 8 clock pulses for completing the entire circle here. So initially I will think my present state of QA or flip-flop A is at 0. At since I'm considering negative edge triggering here in all the flip-flops, at the negative edges, it will try to change its state here by toggling. And now when I'm going for the second flip-flop QB, this QA is considered as a clock pulse. So at the negative edges of the QA, again QB will be changing its state by toggling its states. Okay. Now the flip-flop QB is produced its output QB, that is given as clock. Based on the negative edges of the QB output, okay, you are going to trigger your QC output. Okay, QC output here at the negative edges of this QB, you're going to toggle your third flip-flop QC. So I can generate this kind of waveform, students. So this is your 3-bit asynchronous counter. In similar fashion, I can design a 4-bit asynchronous counter. Also same kind of connections here, students. But only the difference you can see here from your past two is they have taken a connection from QA bar, QB bar, and QC bar. In reverse, initially we have taken connection from QA, QB, and QC for the clock pulses. But here they have taken from QA bar, QB bar, and QC bar, which means that, students, initially you're going to start from 1, 1, 1, and 1. Means when I'm taking the input from QA to the second flip-flop, QB to the second, third, and QC to the fourth, you'll be starting from 0, 0, 0 to 1, 1, 1. Means up counter 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that it has to come. But when I'm considering from QA bar to the next one, QB bar to the next one, and QC bar to the next flip-flop, you will be down counting. Means you need to start from 15. 1, 1, 1, 1 is the state. Then you have to reduce it. You have to move for 14, students. Okay, 1, 1, 0, 1, like that. You have to down count your flip-flop. For down counting, okay, for down counting, you need to take the connection from QA bar, QB bar, and QC bar. Whereas if you want to up count it, okay, like this, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you want to up count, you need to take the connection from QA to the next clock, QB to the next clock. Whereas if you want to down count it, you need to take connection from QA bar to the next clock, QB bar to the next clock. If I'm giving connections QA bar to here and QB bar to here, you need to start from 1, 1, 1. Then you need to go from reverse direction. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Like that, it will move, students. For up counting and down counting, only the change you have to make is, if you want to up count, take a connection from QA and QB. If you want to down count, take a connection from QA bar and QB bar. That is only the difference between your up counter and down counter in here. Okay, so this is a 4-bit asynchronous counter, students. Students, so far I have shown you 2-bit asynchronous counter, 3-bit asynchronous counter, and 4-bit asynchronous counter. Is there any doubts in the working procedure of anything? Same kind of procedure you have to follow for describing the working procedure of any asynchronous counter. Any doubts, students, in asynchronous counters? If you tell me the doubts, I will explain the operation again in those concepts. Any doubts? Students, any doubts in asynchronous counter working procedure? Yeah. Now, can we move to the synchronous counter then? Can I move to the synchronous counter working procedure? How it is going to look like?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Look at here, students. This is your synchronous binary up counter. Okay. Synchronous binary counter is nothing but a 2-bit synchronous counter. They also call it as binary up counter. Okay. So either you can design binary up counter or down counter like previous thing. If you want to up count, take a connection from QA. If you want to down count, you take a connection from QA bar. Okay, that is the only thing you should do for up counting and down counting. Look at here, students. I told you already how you have to give the connections in synchronous and asynchronous counters initially. In synchronous counter, clock is common. Clock is common for all the flip-flops. In previous asynchronous counters, only the first flip-flop is given clock by us. Output of the first is given as clock for the second one. The output of second is given as clock for the third one. Here it is different. Clock is common for all the flip-flops. Okay, at a time we'll be applying clock for all the flip-flops. Then first flip-flops output is given as input for the second one. If you are having third bit also, the output of the second one is given as input for the second one and third one, and clock remains constant. Clock will be connected directly from the first one itself. Means if I apply clock here, all the flip-flops will be triggered at the same point of time. All the flip-flops will be triggered at the same point of time. But whereas in asynchronous counters, I will give triggering to the first flip-flop. It will generate output that has to move to the second flip-flop. Then based on that, the second flip-flop has to trigger. Again, it has to generate the output. That output is taken as clock to the third flip-flop. Based on that clock pulse, you have to trigger the third one. So it is time taking process. Whereas in synchronous counter, students, all the flip-flops are given with a common clock, so that all the flip-flops will start working at the same point of time. So it can generate the output very fast, so that the synchronous counters are very fast in working, whereas compared with the asynchronous counter. The second flip-flop should not have to wait for the first flip-flop to generate its output. But whereas in synchronous counters, okay, all the flip-flops can work at the same point of time, so that it can generate the output very fast. That is one of the advantage in synchronous counters, whereas if you compare with the asynchronous counters here, students. Okay, let me check. Let me tell you how this synchronous 2-bit counter is going to work. So I told you how the connections are. So clock is common for all the flip-flops. How many you have? First flip-flops input are given with the high, and the output of the first is given as input for the second one. Okay, that is your connections. Let us go here, students. Here are the waveforms to explain the 2-bit counter. Now, let us go for waveform analysis, students. You have to say. So let me take a clock pulse again. So I'm taking, since it is a 2-bit counter, totally I want 4 clock pulses to complete the cycle. So I'm taking 4 clock pulses. So this is my first, second, third, and fourth clock pulse. These 4 are enough. And I am considering generally the negative clock, negative edge triggering. So these are the negative edges where I have to trigger my all the flip-flops what I'm having. So students, let us take, initially I will think our flip-flop QA output is at 0 state. Okay, 0 state. Since first flip-flop input JAK is given with high input 1, it will be in toggle state. At negative edges, it will start to toggle. So this is my negative edge. It will be in toggle state. So jumping again at negative edge, it will be in toggle state. So jumping back to the other state. So like this, your QA output is generated, students. Okay. So this is your output of first flip-flop A. So this is at 0, this is at 1. Now at the same clock edges, okay, at the same clock edges, okay, at these points only, since the clock is common for the both flip-flops, okay, you need to trigger your flip-flop, but QA has to be taken as input, students. QA has to be taken as inputs. Initially, let us assume that input is at 0 point. So I'm taking 0. Tell me, students, what is your input now? QA is the input of second flip-flop. If your flip-flop is at JBKB is given with 0 input, what state your second flip-flop will be in? If JBKB is given with 0, what state your JK flip-flop will be in?